What's going on, family? Welcome back to Israel's Movie Reviews. Today we're going to be discussing one of my favorite films back from, this ain't the 90s, but this movie took place in 1989. And we're going to be talking about Tango and Cash, starring two of all-time favorite action studs in the game. And we're talking about Sylvester Stallone and we're talking about Kurt Russell. Starting off with Sylvester Stallone, we all know him. Legend. He competed a lot back in the early 80s, early 90s with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Steven Seagal, Chuck Norris, Dolph Lundgren. The list goes on. You know, he gave us Rambo, he gave us Cobra, he gave us Rocky, he gave us The Expendables, you know, and just recently he gave us The Samaritan. And I feel like he's one of those guys where you have a franchise, it's good to build around him, you know. His introduction to the Guardians of the Galaxy I thought was very unique. I loved him in the Creed franchise as an older Rocky Balboa. And although he's this action buff, right, I think his actual acting doesn't get enough credit. And he's very funny, especially when it comes to this film. Then you have Kurt Russell on the other side, who we all know from Big Trouble in Little China, The Thing, Escape from New York, and later on Escape from LA. And he's done so many iconic movies like The Miracle and things like that. And he was known for his Disney movies until John Carpenter took him under the wing and showed us what he can do with action when we were introduced to him as Snake Plissken, another legendary role. So, you know, that's these two actors, and then you combine them in a film like this, and Jesus Christ, you get some of the most amusing banter in one plus. At least Stallone and Russell, to me, what was funny about the film is you can tell they're taking things very seriously because they're two cops, right, on the opposite sides of the spectrum. One dresses up as a banker. He's wealthy, and he basically uses his cop status as kind of therapy, right? And then you have another one on the other side of LA, the other side of the spectrum also, who lives in another part of LA, who's this ruthless and very kind of I don't give a fuck kind of detective also, and he gets shit done. So, you know, they have this kind of this hate-love kind of relationship, and then they get this, you know, villain who I think that's one of the most lackluster things about this film, that the villain is kind of like a part-time villain, doesn't do much, but set things up in the background, and eventually, you know, sets these two cops up and gets them locked up instead of going ahead and just killing them, right, when you get the chance. But no, he likes to toys with them. He toys with them throughout the movie. And for me, this was one of the top-notch action buddy cop films of all time. Is up there with Lethal Weapon and Another 48 Hours, of course. That's the competition, right? Those movies came before this one. And this movie was so fun. To me, it's considered an action comedy, a very suspenseful action flick. You know, if I was to give it anything, this movie was terrific, man. Excellent action, intense, suspenseful, and it has a great comedic storyline, which I really enjoyed. Even rewatching it to this day, just enjoyed the film. It brings me that nostalgic vibe from watching it back in the day with my father. That's crazy, right? I had this movie on video cassette. You know, this was an excellent, fast-paced action comedy. I truly enjoyed all aspects, as you can see, of this film, of this production, from the screenplay to the set design, from the start of the film. And you see this chase, and you see this big-ass truck, and they think that he failed. Then he comes and just shoots the truck. People think it's full of gas, and it's not. It's full of cocaine. Uh, just the way they turned that scene on its head, to me, was very comedic. Um, Kurt Russell and Stallone, to me, turned in a top-notch performance, especially their chemistry throughout the movie. I think was second to none. I think that's what basically set the film apart from a lot of other buddy cop films. You know, the professional work in this film is quite enjoyable. I think it was a very high endeavor on their resumes. While the action was good, it was very fluid and well executed. The movie never, to me, loses its main focus. And the main focus was that wonderful plot. To me, the plot was extremely well written. I like the introduction of Terry Hatcher here, a young Terry Hatcher. She looked amazing. I love her introduction to the film, the way they introduce her in this club with that 80s music. Is that certain song that comes up. It's just amazing. And what I really liked about the film was that it introduced us to a lot of things that we're getting used to now, right? In the 2020s, you can say, right? Kurt Russell dresses up actually as a woman in a scene, and that was kind of unheard of at the time, but I thought it was hilarious. While to me, there are two major flaws to the credibility of the storyline for the most part. I found this attempt to be at least as good as Lethal Weapon 2 for the most part. You know what I mean? I thought it was well written at the end of the day. A lot of people are going to give it backlash and stuff like that, but the movie's over 30 years old, so what backlash is it going to receive now unless they try to remake it? And I wouldn't touch this film. This film was awesome. I found this production to be very innovative, fun, highly entertaining from start to finish. It had everything a good action movie needs to make it successful. Excellent characters, excellent character development. They gave it a good imaginative direction. Professional performances by the cast were second to none. I loved the villains, even though, you know, one or two of them were a little too comic-y, but at the end of the day, that's what this movie was. To me, it had a very tight cast and crew, clever and witty screenplay with not only comedic but very intelligent dialogue, and the action, Jesus Christ, lots of good fast-paced, well-delivered action. It had a fresh comedic element to it, and even though at times the director, Andrei Konchalovsky, does turn to kind of these juvenile antics, you know, to solicit, you know, a laugh from us throughout the movie. The comedy was mostly about as intelligent as you can expect from Stallone and Russell, and I think it was expertly delivered by them. You know, this is one of those movies where I give it a solid 8 out of 10, just because it was just that good, you know, that good. You know, you watch this movie and it just puts a smile on your face from beginning to end. It's not one of those movies that plateau. It's not one of those movies that get boring. It's not one of those movies that, okay, you start looking at your watch. No, it's an action film throughout. They don't make films like this no more. And when you look at Hobbs and Shaw, that just came out a few years ago, you can tell they paid homage to this movie. They took a lot of scenes and they actually borrowed some things from this film. I won't spoil them for you if you haven't seen those movies, but definitely rewatch that movie and then come to this movie, and you're gonna see a lot of similarities in direction. So definitely go and check out this movie. Let me know what you thought. I really look forward to seeing and hearing what you guys thought about this film. One of my favorite movies from back in the day. If you like this review, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. If you want to become a patron, go on my page and definitely link up with me. I would love to have you as one of my core followers. Appreciate the love, man. Till the next one. Peace.